Stay hungry, stay foolish.
So now on the Innovation Show, it's a great pleasure to welcome Hamilton Perkins, CEO and founder of HPC. Welcome to the show, Hamilton.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I'd love to talk to you about your background first. Before we talk about the product, how did you get to this product? What was your pathway?
Yeah, my background started in marketing. I studied marketing undergraduate. Thought I was going to eventually become a marketing consultant, and it didn't work. I started out in Washington, D.C. I was consulting. I was independently helping small businesses. Prior to that, I had spent time in retail. So sportswear, menswear, women's wear. I, kind of dealt it all, and had spent time around trade shows and learning more and more about consumer insights. But I felt that I wanted to learn more about the economy and finance, so I took a banking position. I joined Bank of America in Virginia. Spent a few years kind of doing consumer marketing. Had a lot of success on the sales side. Eventually went back to business school. All the while, I still kept, my side project, which was kind of retailing bags and shirts and, just small accessories. Fast forward, I was getting my MBA, and I was sponsored to get my MBA from Bank of America, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I want to make a bag that I was looking to buy a bag. I'm thinking, how can I like find a good bag online or in a department store? And at the time, it just didn't exist. So I took my experience with working with like leather goods up to that point, selling in retail settings, brick and mortar, and created what was going to be called the Earth Bag. I made it from recycled plastic bottles. That came from a partnership between my company and a company called Thread International. I also found billboard vinyls by working with suppliers and agencies that had excess inventory, and we crowdfunded it. We put it on Kickstarter, had a $10,000 goal. We hit the goal in about a week, had 6 months lead time, about $30,000 in revenue in the first month, all through crowdfunding. From there, had a business plan competition that we won that gave us a little bit more cash to keep going, gave us some more runway. We finished the year out by hosting a trunk show at Bloomingdale's in New York. So, up there, at 59th Street, we were, there for a full day and had a great sales event. And then to date, we've done 3 trunk shows with Bloomingdale's. We turned our web store on in late 2016, early 2017, and now we're ramping up our manufacturing for the holiday for this year.
It's a great story, man. And it's something we see time and time again on this show. Entrepreneurs with diverse backgrounds. For you as a CEO, and as you grow, you're going to see those skills that you picked up in banking and marketing all come together and converge in this kind of melting pot of your experience. And that's going to be what stands to you most. But I'd love to talk to you about, so you've really got into an area that's so important for the future of retail, which is sustainability. When you look at some patterns that are happening in the world, like urbanization, curing sickness with AI stepping up, there's going to be more and more of a focus on sustainable products and the sourcing of products, but also reusing waste. Was that serendipitous that you stumbled upon that, or was that part of your strategy?
I think the emergence of internet, social, like all these kind of trends, it just felt like there had to be a better way. And I think that was really the simple idea we started with, was how do we make a better bag? And to us, that meant process. We knew that there were a lot of opportunities in the industry to improve and to innovate, but at the same time, we knew that we couldn't like get it done overnight. So, we set out to partner with organizations like Thread and, now our factory who has, kind of domain expertise and has like deep relationships in the industry where, we can sort of tap into that and kind of match a market to that expertise from our end. So I think that now that we're more in a social world, we're more connected, like this has got to be probably the most connected time of all time, it seems, and probably one of the best times to be creative in general, just and to be young at the same time. Like all these ideas, it just felt like if we made a product that had a purpose and we did it the right way, then we would be able to build a market around it. So it turned out that, there were, tens of billions of bags, and revenue, market size that were, kind of like the opportunity, at the same time you have billions of plastic bottles being thrown away every year, so size and scale, it was a real thing. And then, you think of the outdoor advertising industry and you see the inventories, the excess, what's sent to landfills and, just this entire culture of faster, cheaper, and then throw it away. We felt like there was an opportunity there for us to create, but at the same time, tie people into an idea that for so long has always been about, okay, let's recycle and throw something away, but we're not going to ever get a chance to really see the fruits of our labor or like actually taking the time to like see a product that represents like that extra step of like recycling or that extra step of not being wasteful. This was like the perfect moment for that. And the Earth Bag was born.
You talk about purpose, which is when you think of some of the big companies out there, like they cannot do what you do because they have almost too much to lose and they've a supply chain and a value chain in place. But so many companies in the past didn't have to worry about purpose because there wasn't so much competition, there wasn't that connectedness you talk about, and there wasn't all these companies like you that are just seeing these patterns and trends that are happening and reacting to them in real time with new business models and with a purpose. And could we talk about your purpose a little bit? Because I think this is really one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you was I saw that purpose come across, and we'll talk about you being a B Corp in a second, but could we talk a bit about your purpose and what you see that as?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we tied into the mission of advancing the idea of sustainable basics. We want to like change the idea that, sustainability means crafty or sustainability means not cool. We want to bring a new approach. We want to kind of help, just the whole concept succeed. So for us, what that meant was, actually walking the walk, and for us to get the B Corp certification was, really major, like super early, as we're just starting out. But that gave us a great opportunity to build from the ground up in a way that, to your point, we do have the flexibility where we aren't in a Wall Street environment, or we're not in like this kind of quarterly crunch where we have to put up a certain, EBITDA or a certain number that, we can sort of afford to take the risk on, doing something in a new way, because, so much of what, we consume is not necessarily sustainable, and, we're all kind of in the same category there. It's hard. It takes the extra effort to, choose a company that is new or, is still like working through manufacturing, kind of challenges or, still working through like financing challenges. Like that takes like a lot of guts and it takes a lot of initiative. And, it's not, it's almost not fair to even ask of that. But at the same time, I think purpose is about how you see things and what you plan to do about it. So I think that we felt that making our products out of waste or out of trash would be a great medium. We could be just as creative. We could be just as, fashion forward as any other company. And that is like the big thing that we try to get across with every picture we take, every piece of creative that the content we produce. we want people to know that we're making a bag that's made from recycled plastic and upcycled vinyls, old posters, etc. But what we're making is a quality product. It's a great product first, and then it has the purpose.
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of people feel that, don't they? They feel, oh, this is going to be, an inferior product because it comes from, in their mind, an inferior fabrication. But you have actually made sure of that first, and then source the materials that can then give it that capability. And I find it really interesting about the B Corp thing, because that's something I hadn't thought about, is that it gives you that leverage to not be under pressure to think short, because it's one of the problems with so many corporations is that they have to think short, because they have to satisfy the board, maybe even monthly board meetings. They have to satisfy the shareholders on quarterly earnings reports, and that makes your decisions different, because you can't think long, and you seem to be really, really thinking long.
Exactly. I think when you start to think about kind of personal motivations and just general interest in the success of a company, there's certainly opportunities to cut corners, and there's opportunities that when you're kind of first starting out. I mean, it's like you're at a pure state. It's like you have control. You can actually make a difference. So um, we're big on that. We feel like, right now is really the best time probably in history to really do what we're doing. Last 10 years has been, more plastic waste than prior 100 years. There's just so many different variables that, make it actually like feasible to do something about that. And, we're taking action, and, we're looking forward to this fall. We'll be producing and creating new products that, will be available at hamiltonperkins.com, and, possibly even seeing it come to a boutique in, a city near you. So,
Nice.
we're thankful for just the receptiveness to what we're doing. And it's been a lot of fun, coming to work every day for, about the last 14 months now.
Can we talk about B Corps? Because I know a lot of our listeners won't know what we're talking about. I certainly didn't a year ago know what a B Corp was, and I've seen now Danone are filing to be a B Corp. Already Kickstarter are a B Corp, and Patagonia and a lot of these companies. So would you mind giving a little synopsis of what a B Corp is?
Using business as a force for good is pretty much what, B Corps do. The nonprofit B Lab certifies companies as B corporations by the impact assessment that they take. So we all take an impact assessment. It analyzes various facets of the business, things that are often like very just like super detailed, and like in a profit and loss world. I mean, it's so easy for these things to probably not get accounted for, but in sort of this community, those things are often elevated because there are real impacts. I think especially in a world where you're manufacturing things and you're selling things, you see the low cost, you see the low price of like a certain product or a certain service, but in a lot of times you don't see like the actual artisan or person that had to cut and sew the product. Like, I think some people fall into the trap of like thinking, oh, well, it just, it sews itself together, or like, the raw materials are cheap, so, it should be cheap. Like, it doesn't always connect with people until like they really like dig in. And I think just, kind of staying on the topic of B Lab and B Corps, I think, the whole concept of being a B Corp is, I think it's being mindful of what you're doing, and actually measuring that so that you can improve. You're running your business, but you're attempting to do what you can with what you have to make things better. I think that's really like the idea of just being in the community and it's very it's a supportive community as well. You learn something from the other companies no matter what. Like, I'll go to a meetup and meet 10 other companies, and I'm just like blown away by some of the things that are working on. And then there's collaboration that happens.
You see so many people in companies, and they go to work every day and they clock in and they clock out, and I'm sure you had a flavor of that when you worked in the corporate world, but you've no purpose every day. B Corps and what the Work B Labs do, and indeed what you're doing with Hamilton Perkins is, you come into work every day and you know that you're actually making a difference through your work. Yes, you're selling your products, but there's an output of that which is actually giving back. And I think that's what people really want these days.
Exactly. I think there's some stat I read that, up to 80% of people are more willing to make a purchase decision when a company actually has a social mission that's authentic. And, I think for us, that's tying that into an earlier point about larger organizations not necessarily being able to adapt to, sustainability or things of that nature. It does give you, that I guess that's something that cannot be taken away. It ties in with brand as well, I would say, because when you set your DNA and your architecture in a certain way, even if there's other, forms of what you do, that part of the story cannot be replaced.
It was one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because Daniel reached out and he told me about your company. But when I actually read a little bit more, and I read and I saw the mission, it's one of the things we do on the Innovation Show is talk to authentic people who have a real story and are really trying to make a difference. So hence why we talked to you, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, Hamilton.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So where can people find out more? I know you said HamiltonPerkins.com. Where on social, etc.?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Hamilton Perkins, Facebook Hamilton Perkins, Snapchat Hamilton Perkins. Best place to find us is on our own website, HamiltonPerkins.com. So at checkout, you can use the code Innovation Show. You'll get $10 off your first order. We would love to hear from you. Feel free to leave us a review. We'll prompt you for a review about a week after purchase. Reach out, ask us questions. If we can be of any assistance, let us know. And, we appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for looking into us.
Nice one. Hamilton Perkins, founder and CEO of Hamilton Perkins. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity.